3 months ago, I was drowning. Not in water, but in something far more suffocating. The endless cycle of video creation that was slowly killing my passion for storytelling. I'd spend 12 hours crafting a single video, only to watch it get buried in the algorithm while creators with half my experience were pulling millions of views with content that seemed to appear out of thin air. I remember the exact moment everything changed. It was 2:47 a.m., and I was slumped over my desk, eyes burning from staring at timeline after timeline of unfinished projects. My girlfriend walked past my office and whispered, "You look like you're in prison." She was right. I had become a prisoner of my own creative process. That's when I stumbled across something that didn't just change how I make videos, it changed how I think about creation itself. But here's the part nobody tells you about breakthrough moments. They don't feel like breakthroughs at first. They feel like surrendering. The lie we tell ourselves about video creation. For years, I believed the biggest lie in content creation, that suffering equals authenticity. That if I wasn't bleeding hours into every frame, every transition, every color correction, then somehow my work wasn't real. I wore my exhaustion like a badge of honor, telling myself that the pain was proof of my dedication. But what if I told you that some of the most compelling videos I've ever seen were created in under an hour? What if the secret to captivating content isn't more time, but smarter tools? This is where my story takes an unexpected turn. I discovered Pictory AI not through some guru's recommendation or flashy advertisement, but through pure desperation. I had a client deadline looming, 3 unfinished projects, and a creative block that felt like concrete in my chest. I typed AI video maker into Google with the same energy someone might search for emergency dentist at 3 a.m. I wasn't looking for a miracle. I was looking for a life raft. The moment everything clicked. The first time I opened Pictory AI, I felt like I was looking at technology from the future. Not because it was complicated. Actually, it was the opposite. It was so simple it felt almost insulting to everything I thought I knew about video creation. Here's what happened in those first 60 seconds that changed everything. I pasted a blog post I'd written months earlier about overcoming creative burnout. Within minutes, Pictory had transformed my written words into a compelling video narrative, complete with relevant visuals, smooth transitions, and a rhythm that felt almost human. But the real magic wasn't in what it created. It was in what it gave back to me. For the first time in months, I wasn't thinking about timeline markers and render times. I was thinking about story, about message, about the person on the other side of the screen who needed to hear what I had to say. The platform works like a creative partner who actually understands your vision. You feed it your script, your article, or even just your ideas, and it becomes this intelligent collaborator that suggests visuals, creates scenes, and builds a narrative flow that makes sense. What struck me most was how Pictory didn't just slap random stock footage onto my words. It seemed to understand context, emotion, and pacing in a way that felt almost spooky. When I wrote about feeling trapped, it showed images of closed doors and narrow hallways. When I talked about breakthrough moments, it found footage of sunrise breaking through clouds. The 3 revelations that changed my creative life. The first revelation hit me during my 3rd video creation session with Pictory. I realized I had been approaching video creation backwards my entire career. I'd been starting with the technical aspects, the editing software, the effects, the perfect color grading, when I should have been starting with the story. Pictory forced me to focus on the narrative first. When you input your script or article, you're essentially telling the AI, "Here's my story, help me tell it visually." This shift in perspective was like putting on glasses for the first time. Suddenly, everything came into focus. The second revelation was about efficiency versus laziness. I had convinced myself that using AI tools was somehow cheating, that it diminished the authenticity of my work. But what I discovered was that Pictory didn't make me lazy. It made me more creative. Instead of spending hours searching for the perfect stock footage or wrestling with transitions, I could focus my energy on crafting better stories, developing stronger messages, and connecting more deeply with my audience. The platform's AI doesn't just randomly assign visuals to your content. It analyzes your script for emotional tone, key concepts, and narrative flow. It understands when you're building tension and when you're providing resolution. It knows the difference between a moment that needs dynamic action footage and one that calls for contemplative imagery. But here's the third revelation that really shook me. The quality of the output wasn't just professional. It was often better than what I could create manually. The AI's understanding of pacing, visual storytelling, and audience engagement was teaching me things about video creation that I'd never learned in years of traditional editing. The hidden power. Most people never discover. Most creators who try Pictory AI make the same mistake I almost made. They treat it like a basic video generator. Upload text, get video, done. But that's like using a Ferrari to drive to the mailbox. You're missing the real power. The breakthrough came when I started treating Pictory as a creative collaborator rather than just a tool. I began experimenting with different types of input content. Instead of just feeding it finished articles, I started giving it rough ideas, bullet points, even stream of consciousness rambles about topics I was passionate about. The AI became my brainstorming partner. I'd input a loose concept about, say, the psychology of procrastination, and Pictory would help me visualize the narrative in ways I never would have considered. It would suggest visual metaphors that made abstract concepts concrete, find footage that elevated my ideas beyond what I could have imagined. Here's something that will blow your mind. Pictory's AI doesn't just create videos, it teaches you how to think in visual stories. Every suggestion it makes, every clip it chooses, every transition it creates becomes a masterclass in visual storytelling. I found myself becoming a better storyteller not despite using AI, but because of it. The platform also has this incredible feature that most people overlook. It can transform existing videos into new formats. I took a 20-minute presentation I'd given at a conference and had Pictory create 3 different versions: a short highlight reel, a detailed tutorial, and a story-driven narrative. Same content, 3 completely different emotional experiences. The dark side nobody talks about. But let me be honest about something that's been weighing on me. Using AI for video creation brings up some uncomfortable truths about our industry and ourselves. First, there's the imposter syndrome that hits when you create something beautiful in a fraction of the time it used to take. I found myself wondering if I deserved credit for videos that an AI helped create. Was I still a real creator, or had I become something else entirely? Then, there's the existential question that keeps me up at night. If AI can create compelling videos this easily, what does that mean for human creativity? Are we becoming obsolete, or are we evolving into something more powerful? Here's what I've learned through months of working with Pictory. AI does not replace human creativity, it amplifies it. The machine can suggest visuals and create transitions, but it can't feel the weight of a story that needs to be told. It can't understand the specific pain point your audience is struggling with. It can't infuse your unique perspective and lived experience into the narrative. The real power comes from the combination: human insight and emotion paired with AI efficiency and visual intelligence. Pictory became my creative accelerator, not my replacement. The moment I knew there was no going back. 6 weeks into using Pictory AI, I got a message that changed everything. It was from a viewer who had watched one of my AI-assisted videos about overcoming creative blocks. She wrote, "I don't know how you knew exactly what I was going through, but your video saved my business. I was ready to quit, but your story gave me hope." That's when I realized the real transformation wasn't in my video creation process. It was in my ability to connect with people. By removing the technical barriers and creative bottlenecks, Pictory had given me something invaluable: the mental space to focus on what actually matters, the human being on the other side of the screen. The platform had evolved significantly since I first discovered it. New features kept appearing that seemed to anticipate exactly what I needed. Voice cloning capabilities that could maintain consistency across multiple videos. Advanced editing controls that gave me professional-level customization when I needed it. Integration with other tools that streamlined my entire workflow. But the most powerful feature wasn't technical at all. It was the way Pictory seemed to understand story structure instinctively. It knew when to pause for emphasis, when to accelerate for excitement, when to pull back for reflection. It was like having a film editor who understood the psychology of engagement at a cellular level. The question that changes everything. So here's what I want to leave you with. The question that's been haunting me since this journey began. What would you create if the technical barriers disappeared? What stories would you tell if you could focus purely on the message without getting lost in the mechanics? Because that's exactly what tools like Pictory AI offer. Not just easier video creation, but creative liberation. The freedom to focus on what only you can bring to the world. Your unique perspective, your lived experience, your understanding of what people need to hear. The future of content creation isn't about replacing human creativity with artificial intelligence. It's about amplifying human creativity with intelligent tools. It's about removing the barriers between your ideas and their expression. It's about getting back to the essence of why we create in the first place. I'm curious, what's the story you've been waiting to tell? What's the message that's been burning inside you, waiting for the right moment, the right tools, the right opportunity? Because I have a feeling that moment is closer than you think. The revolution isn't coming, it's already here. The question is, are you ready to be part of it? What breakthrough are you hoping AI will unlock in your creative journey? Share your thoughts below. I read every single comment, and some of your insights might just inspire my next video.